Welcome back to the Bryan Devore Connection. I am Bryan Devore. Today I'm here with Daniel Weiner with the law office of Daniel Weiner. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Bryan. How are you?
Good. So your company name is very aptly named because it's after your name. So tell us a little bit about yourself and why you got into estate planning.
Well, yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share that. So I'm originally from London, and I spent 10 years working at the big international firms, working in bank regulation, helping big banks, helping big corporations. And after all that time of working, I suddenly realized that in all my years of being an attorney, I'd never actually worked with a human being before. So, it seemed to make sense to put all that experience together and then start an estate planning law firm, which I did a few years ago now.
Got it. And you brought your practice over to the United States, or did you start your practice when you came to the United States?
So I started the practice when I came to the States. So I've been here for 5 years in total in the States. Married an American, that's the thing that brought me here originally. But no, started the estate planning firm a few years ago.
Got it. Great. So today we're going to talk about the 5 common misconceptions of trust and estate planning, because can be a complex process, but it's a very important process. So I'm glad you wanted to touch on these things. So what's the first most common misconception about estate planning?
So great question. I think the most common misconception is that all of the things that we deal with in estate planning are really just for the ultra wealthy, and that they don't apply to regular people. And the issues that we're concerned about: who's going to make decisions for you if you're not able to, who's going to help with your healthcare wishes, what's going to happen to your children if something was to happen to you, what happens to your assets. These things are all relevant to everybody, not just the very wealthy.
So a lot of times people think estate planning, well, I have a will, right? And the will, talks about, who gets what in a lot of ways, but the healthcare, the medical directives, and a very important one, who is going to take care of our minor children if we die, all of that gets enclosed into the estate plan.
Exactly. It's all in the mix. Yeah, what happens to children, what happens to assets. And we look at, when clients have minor children, we look at not just what happens in the long term, who would be the long-term guardians, but also the short-term emergency situation. So there's quite a lot that goes into that kind of planning.
Lots of I's dotted and T's crossed.
Absolutely.
Good. What is the second most common misconception?
So the second most common misconception is that this is about documents. So you can get a set of documents and then put them on a shelf and you're fine. But in reality, the documents are the byproduct of all of this, but this is as much about assets as it is about documents. We need to be doing a thorough review of all of your assets, looking at retirement accounts, looking at financial accounts, properties, bank accounts, everything that you have, and then as part of a comprehensive process, help you to transfer those assets into your trust so that you don't just have a pile of documents that's giving you a false sense of security.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I know some people even, okay, I have to put my home in my trust, but they forget to put their checking account in their trust, their savings account. So it's really about all of the entire process.
Correct.
Great. Number 3.
Number 3. So a lot of people know that avoiding probate is one of the big reasons that so many people in California create a trust. But there's so much more that you can do when you're dealing with trusts. So, for example, if you want to protect the inheritance you're leaving behind for your children against any lawsuits or creditor issues, or what if your child was to get divorced one day? Do you want to protect that inheritance from a divorcing spouse? There's all kinds of considerations that go into trust planning when it's done properly and comprehensively.
Wow, there's a lot to think about. I didn't think about the divorcing spouse and making sure that gets taken care of properly. And the probate process can be a very long process. I deal with probates all the time, and while the home can be sold earlier in the process before the probate's completed, it can go on for a year, longer.
Yep.
The courts are backed up. It could be a nightmare. So
18 months is a good, a minimum indicator of what probate often takes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So number 4.
So number 4, just wants to touch on estate tax. So estate tax, the perception again is that only the very, very wealthy need to worry about that kind of tax. That is the tax that your family pays on assets that you leave behind. And currently there is a very high exemption. So you can pass away with $12 million, or a married couple can pass away with $24 million, and there is no estate tax payable. So that is historically high. We know it's coming back down to 6 million roughly per person in 2026. So that would just bring more people into the scope of the estate tax realm. And for any families where that is an issue, there's lots that can be done. There's advanced planning that can be done to mitigate the risk of estate tax using irrevocable trusts and other methods. But I wanted to kind of make that point that those laws are changing, and for any families who could potentially be affected, it's never too early to start that planning.
Got it. All right. So we've done 4. And, we've talked about all these things that people have to do, make their plan, get everything all done, get their ducks in a row. But then number 5.
Number 5. So this is not a one and done thing. So when we do estate planning with families, we do reviews at least every 3 years. But in the intervening time, if certain things happen, if there's a divorce, if there are health issues, if there are more children born, whatever might be going on, we always want to be reviewing the plan, because the law's going to change, people's lives are going to change after they've created this plan. And working with an attorney where you're building that kind of long-term relationship, where you can make sure that when the plan is needed, someone's not just going to dust it off the shelf where it's been sitting for 50 years and then they're going to open it and it bears no relationship to what their life is like at the time. So keeping it up to date is really critical.
Got it. So those are the 5 most common misconceptions. I'm sure there's others, and there's a lot that goes into this. So probably the best thing for our audience to do is to give you a call and make an appointment to come in, discuss their situation. Every situation is unique and different, and review everything and put together the estate plan that's going to be best for them.
Absolutely. There's no one answer for everyone. There's no one size fits all. Everyone's family dynamics are different. Everyone's priorities and what they care about are different. So yeah, that's so important for the attorney to sit down, really get to know the family and carve a plan that reflects that family's wishes.
Got it. So give him a call. So this is Daniel Weiner. And again, with the Law Office of Daniel Weiner, aptly named, of course. Give him a call. His information is right on the screen, and he can walk you through the entire process and make sure that you and your family and your assets are completely protected throughout your life and beyond. Thanks for watching.